Welcome to the Slow Living Collective podcast. I'm Amy, wife, mother of two and devoted homemaker. Join me on this journey as we explore the beauty of slow and simple living, where life unfolds at its own unhurried pace. I'll take you through my experiences of slowing down, tending to our allotment plot, finding joy in the little things and making the most of our small home. Together we'll learn to live in harmony with the ever-changing seasons, discovering the magic that lies in embracing the present moment. So let's embark on this enriching adventure towards a more intentional and fulfilling life. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Slow Living Collective podcast. Today I am diving into something that I'm really excited about. I have this episode planned for ages, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately, and it's a little close to my heart, but it is about how we simplify family life. Now, I know life today can feel like one giant to-do list that never ends, and I think if you've got children, it can really seem like there's so much going on with school and extracurricular activities. It's just never ending, right? There's always something to do, somewhere to be, somewhere to go, another message from another WhatsApp group, and it just feels like we're constantly running around trying to keep everything moving. And I home educate my kids. I'm not even in school WhatsApp groups, and it is more than enough, right? It is a lot. It just feels like we're constantly juggling a million things in the air. But honestly, sometimes I think we need a reminder that we don't have to keep juggling all the time. And what if we could just slow down a bit? I know, radical coming from me, where I never talk about slow living. But what if we just took a deep breath and actually focus on what truly matters the most? Now, listen, before you think like, no, I'm turning this off. I don't have time for that. I'm a mum, and, someone who's all about slow and simple living, and I have learned that it's not about doing more, it is about doing less. And well, maybe it's about doing things with more intention, about creating space for what really matters so that we can all fully show up for ourselves, our families, and the things that just bring us joy. So let me tell you this, I am all in on making family life feel intentional, peaceful, and yes, would you believe it? Simple. So that is exactly what we're going to talk about today, how to simplify family life without sacrificing the good stuff. We're going to chat about creating more space in your day, how to focus on your family's non-negotiables, and how to actually live with intention while juggling all of the family things. So let's dive in. If you're ready to take your first step towards slow and simple living, I would love to help you. I have created the Slow and Simple Workshop. It is just a 40-minute workshop designed to make it easy for you to start slowing down with my very simple 3-step framework, no matter how busy you are. In just 40 minutes, we will explore simple and practical ways that you can weave slow living into your everyday routine. We are going to uncover how you can find more peace, balance and joy without having to overhaul your entire life, because you deserve to live a life that feels aligned and intentional. So let's get started with your slow living journey today. Sign up for the Slow and Simple Workshop by going to theslowlivingcollective.com/slow workshop. That is theslowlivingcollective.com/slow workshop. Okay, friends, let's take a minute to get real here, because we've all been there, right? You get to the end of the day, it's maybe 9 o'clock, and you literally collapse into the chair or onto the sofa, stare blankly at the wall and wonder, where did all the time go? I mean, 1 minute you're making breakfast, and the next thing you know, you're scrambling to get the kids to bed, your laundry's still in the dryer, I don't know, the dishwasher's not been filled up. Can anyone relate? Because I know that's me. Between, working, running a business, kids, school, home education, chores, commitments, and all the other little things that come up during the day, life can feel like a complete whirlwind sometimes. And the thing is this busy, non-stop rhythm is kind of just expected now, isn't it? Right? It's just this modern day pressure to always be moving, always be hustling, always to be achieving something. And don't get me wrong, I am all for working hard and getting stuff done, right? I wouldn't have started my own business if I wasn't about working hard, because that thing doesn't just happen, right? But there is this underlying message that says if you're not busy, you're not doing enough. But actually, the reality is that most of us don't actually want to live this way, right? Like, sure, we want to feel fulfilled and purposeful, but we don't want to feel like we're constantly running on empty. We want to be able to slow down and enjoy the small moments in our lives and actually be present with the people that we love. And this constant busyness, it's not just tiring, but it can really take a toll on your health, on your relationships, your peace of mind. You know, we get so caught up in doing all the things that we forget to take care of ourselves. We are spread too thin, we are pulled in 100 different directions, and we start just feeling burnt out, overwhelmed, and frustrated. But I've got some good news for you. There is a way out of it, and it really just starts with simplifying. I know, like, that sounds really simple, but I'm here to tell you that simplifying is the antidote to overwhelm. Because when we start letting go of all the unnecessary stuff and start prioritizing what really matters, we create better space for the things that bring us joy, the things that bring us peace, that bring us better connection with the people that we love. And that's what we are diving into today. How to cut through the noise, slow things down, and make room for the good stuff. So if you're a mum or a dad, or you're feeling overwhelmed, you're tired of feeling like you're constantly on the go, you are not alone. And today we are going to simplify so you can breathe, be present, and enjoy life more, not less. Okay, the non-negotiables. I talk about it basically every week, don't I? How do we simplify family life without giving up what's important to us, or the things that we can't avoid? And the thing is, we have to identify what our non-negotiables are, the things that no matter what happens, we cannot compromise on. And that might mean things that we can't get out of, right? We have to go to work. We have to earn money. Kids have got to go to school, or at least be educated, through home education. These are the things that we can't get out of. We have to commute to work. We might have extracurricular activities for our children. It might be swimming or ballet or scouts or guides or whatever it looks like. They're things that we cannot get out of, that we cannot compromise on. And also with that, there will be non-negotiables in our lives that we cannot compromise on, things that ground us, that keep us connected. And it's like a must-have, right? So my non-negotiables in terms of things that I have to do are, I have to parent my children, right? I have to home educate them because that is the choice that our family has made. I have to work because that is something that I want to do and it is important to me. I want to build this business up and I love doing it. My husband has to go to work, right? Both of us have to work. We have to earn incomes so that we can pay for the things for our family. We have to pay our mortgage. These are things that we cannot get out of. But then we also have a must-have list as well. So for us, that might be quality family time. No matter what is going on during the week, we want to have some family time to be present. And that might be dinner together, building some Lego, playing a game, just sitting down and chat. Like, they're sacred. And things like getting out in nature as well. Like, we predominantly, our allotment is big for that. We like being outdoors. I like being outdoors. It clears my head. I just like, not knowing what's going on in the world. And I often laugh, like I say, if the world ended while I was at the allotment, I would have no idea. I had this really beautiful moment the other week when I was at the allotment. It was back in January, early January as well. It was a really nice day. It was not actually that cold. It was before the cold snap. And I had loads of stuff I needed to sort out. So much stuff because, as you guys know, I lost my granddad at the end of 2024 and we had to spend some time clearing his house. I took everything everything from his garden because I wanted to rehome it at my allotment, not because I wanted his stuff and I was like, oh, you know, this is like shopping. I wanted his love of gardening and how much he enjoyed his garden. I wanted it to live on somewhere and I wanted to take it to my allotment. So I spent some time there sorting through it. It was kind of emotional as well. But I actually went by myself, and my husband took the kids just to the park down the road, and they were having a lot of fun, like playing with rockets and stuff. So I went there and I had this beautiful moment where I'm like sorting through all of his stuff and thinking about, you know, where I was going to put it, and, you know, just thinking about my granddad in general. And I had no idea what the time was. And it's funny because part of that was I actually set my phone up to like record a time lapse of me at the allotment that I could post on Instagram. And so when I do that, like, my phone is completely redundant. Like, you're not getting hold of me, I can't check the time, you know, it was on the tripod and I had no idea. And, you know, obviously being winter, I knew that my time was quite limited. I didn't go until the afternoon, just after lunch, I think. And so I looked up at the sky, I looked at the sun, and I gauged not what the time was, but how long I had until I had to start clearing up, because I looked at the sun to decide whether, you know, did I have enough time? Like, should I start tidying up yet? Is the sun going to start setting? Like, I don't want to be here after dark, kind of thing. And it was just cool, I guess. And it just, you know, it was just nice I was so disconnected, and I really loved that I looked to the sun for guidance as to, you know, I've made quite a mess here because I'm sorting out. Do I have time to carry on, or should I start tidying some of this stuff up? And it was really good. Like, you know, that's how it always would have been. It always would have been. So, you know, taking time outside in nature is a big one for our family, one of our must-haves, let's say. So I want you to think about, you know, maybe what the non-negotiables are in your life. What are the non-negotiables that you absolutely cannot get out of? Work, school, etc. And then think about another list of kind of non-negotiables, but a must-have. Things that you absolutely must have in your life. So, you know, like I said, family time, getting outside in nature. It might be time to rest. It might be a weekly family dinner, or a morning routine that keeps your day grounded, or some quiet moments before bed. And the thing is, when we identify our non-negotiables, we know what space we have around them. And then when we kind of set out our must-haves, then we start to create a roadmap for our time and energy. And they kind of become our guideposts for decision making. You know, you can ask yourself, like, does this align with my must-haves? Does it fit around my non-negotiables? And does it line up with my must-haves? And if it doesn't, then it's probably easier to say no. And that is the power of knowing your priorities. But it's not just about knowing what matters. It is also about setting boundaries to protect those things. So, you know, you can set boundaries in your family to stay focused on what matters most. So, you know, it might be no screens during dinner time. It's a simple rule, but it can make a huge difference in how connected we feel to each other. It also might mean having Sunday as a day of rest, or some people I know use Sunday as a day away from social media. It can look like whatever it wants to look like for you. These boundaries, they can be a game changer in keeping our focus on what really matters. So, how do you make it work? How can you simplify family life? So, you know what your non-negotiables are in your family. You know who goes to work, when they go to work, who has to go to school at what time, who has extracurricular activities or classes. We know all of those things. And so we're looking in the space around that. And then when we look in the space around that, we are then able to start on our list of must-haves. Things that we are completely, you know, committed to having for our family. Something that we are not going to negotiate on either. And so when we've got all of these things in place, we can protect the things that matter most and how we can make them work. So let's talk about that. How can we simplify our daily routine so we feel like we're not running in circles all the time? I'm going to dive into some tips that help me, and hopefully they'll help you as well. So I want to talk about morning routines, and I know morning routines are all over the internet, and some of them feel that they require some sort of master's degree in productivity to pull off. But trust me, a morning routine does not have to be elaborate. It doesn't have to be aesthetically pleasing. It doesn't have to have some influencer tapping her fingers on a moisturizer for her face. In fact, simplicity is the name of the game here. The goal is to have a really small, simple and grounded start to your day that sets the tone for everything that follows. Now for me, I don't like to do that thing that everybody tells us to do, get up before your children. I am not here for it. Sleep is the most important thing I will do. So I will wake up with everybody else. Okay? So, maybe you get up before your children. That's absolutely fine. For me, no. Not doing it. I am staying in bed, and so I get the goal behind it, that you can have a few minutes to yourself before the hustle. But actually, what I prefer to do is we all get up together. I breastfeed my son. We get up. My husband takes the children downstairs. We're very lucky. My husband works full-time from home, so he is here right till the last moment before he starts work. He'll take them downstairs, which gives me just a few moments to get myself ready. Get myself up, washed, dressed, ready for the day. And then the most essential part of my morning routine is I step outside onto the balcony, and I will have just a few minutes in the sunlight. Not waste sunshine, but the sunlight, the daylight, the morning sun. It's there even if the clouds are over it. And just take a few moments. This time of year in the winter, it's cold. I don't tend to spend so much time out there. Maybe just a couple of minutes. Maybe as time goes on, definitely as time goes on, because I do this every year in a cycle, I will spend more time out there. But this time of year in the winter, I will just take a few moments outside, and then I will come in and I will have my coffee. That is it. That is the morning routine. It's just about finding something that creates a rhythm. Now, in the winter, the kids absolutely don't want to be out there with me at all. But in the summer or the spring, we will spend more time out there together. We might read a book. But this time of year, I will come inside and we'll do that sort of stuff inside as well. But it's just about finding a rhythm that feels good for you and your family, and that works with your non-negotiables, right? Another thing that is a big one for me is meal preparation. Now, I'm not talking about whipping up 5-course meals every night, but simplifying meals doesn't mean you have to sacrifice your nutrition or the flavour of them. We like to plan ahead. We meal plan a little bit. We keep things simple. We make things from scratch. That's really important to us. And we just we kind of know what to cook that way. And it's we have like a rotation of meals we like to eat. We eat very seasonally, and that does change with the seasons, and it's just finding a routine that works for us. So again, my husband doesn't have to commute home, so he is here as soon as he's finished work, he's down the stairs, and then our evening begins. And so that does help us, the meal planning and preparation. I don't meal prep. It's just not for me, but that might be something that works for you. Another thing for a home is decluttering. I'm always decluttering something. I know I'm not alone here when I say that a cluttered home leads to a cluttered mind, and it is hard to feel calm and peaceful when you are constantly surrounded by things that don't serve you. You don't have to do a full makeover on your house unless that's what you want to do, but just tackle one area at a time. I find with children, there's always something coming in somehow, and it builds up, and then I have a declutter and we start over again, and people are always growing out of clothes. I'm always sorting that out. Like, honest to God, I didn't realise that being a parent would mean that I had spent so much time sorting out people's clothes. Like, goodness me. But there we are. But you'll be amazed at actually how much lighter you feel when you start to get rid of excess stuff. Now, I live in a 700 square foot home. I absolutely have to be on top of this. But, you can start with things that are really easy, maybe old toys that the kids no longer play with. Pro tip on this, don't do it in front of them, because they want to keep everything and get everything else out. It's clothes that no longer fit, or maybe your own stuff or kitchen stuff, just things that you could do with getting rid of, let's say. But it's not about making huge, overwhelming changes. It's just about creating these small and simple habits that work for you. About being really intentional with what stays in your life. Let go of the things that don't serve you. Protect your time and your energy and your peace. It's so, so important. One of the things I find really important in our life is actually this idea of not overscheduling ourselves. So we home educate our children, so we educate them outside the school system, and so often in the home education world and in the school world, we tend to really overschedule our children. So if they're in school, it might be school and then a bunch of extracurriculars. Home education world, it might be home ed groups and classes and extracurriculars as well. And what I have done, and I intentionally do, is I set aside 2 days a week in our Monday to Friday week where we absolutely don't have anything planned. And that doesn't mean that we always stay home on those days, but those days are free for us. So if we need to stay home, we will stay home. Maybe sometimes in the spring and summer we might actually go to the allotment on one of those days, but we're not scheduled to do anything. We're not going to a class, we don't have extracurriculars. We can stay home, we can bake, we can learn, we can go to the allotment, we can grow, we can have free unstructured play, we can read books. It can be whatever it wants to be. So often we overschedule, and I used to be a bit like that, not with home education, but when my daughter was first born, she's my eldest, I used to spend all my time out of the house because I felt like I could cope better. And when you're a new parent, it's very overwhelming. But I felt like I could cope better and I was a better parent when we were out of the house, because I don't know the reason for that, but that's how I felt. And I don't feel that way anymore. I actually feel now that I am, I can parent well wherever I am. Now, I'm not saying I'm a perfect parent. I am absolutely not. But I just feel like being at home nourishes everybody just as much as being out and doing things does. So, I am, for my family, very against the idea of constantly doing something or scheduling at least one thing every day. It just wouldn't work for us. So, there are so many different ways that you can start simplifying your family life. And it doesn't mean making these huge, overwhelming changes all at once either. Just creating small routines and habits that work for all of you. Being intentional about what stays in your life. Letting go of the things that don't serve you. Also another thing for us is that, for my husband and I to have time together. We are all about our children. We have to be. We chose to home educate as well. That is an additional layer as well. We are all together all of the time, but we also take our own breaks. And I love doing this. I love doing the podcast. That is not just a job or a hobby. It is a break as well, and that's important. And I know some people say like I have to go to work because I do need that break, and there's nothing wrong with that. I completely get that. And so we all have time where we need a break. We also have time where, we will go out and just spend time together. That's important as well. We were married first before we were parents. And so we just really just focus on keeping things simple. We can always add, it's easier, when I think about something like, I was just talking about not overscheduling the children. If I have something every day, then I feel like I have to do something every day, then it's difficult to get out of that. Whereas if I schedule things 3 days a week, I have 2 breaks amongst that as well. And so, it just makes for what feels like a much more simple and aligned life. And it is just about protecting your time and energy, and so that you can show up for the people who matter most and the things that matter most. And it's about finding balance and creating space for that joy, because we deserve that. All of us deserve that. And like I said, in my family, we chose to home educate the children, and we love it. We really, really love it. It is the best decision we have ever made. We are together all the time, so it's important to find the space and simplify our life as well, so that it works for everyone. So I really encourage you to just take a step back and think about what truly matters in your life and start simplifying from there, because little by little you'll start to notice how much more spacious and peaceful your day feels, and it is so worth it. Okay guys, thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. It is always great to dive into some of these topics with you. I would love to know what you think about simplifying your family life. Maybe you both work, or maybe you're a single parent and you're the only one working. Maybe you are a stay-at-home parent, or maybe your partner's the stay-at-home parent, and you are just trying to figure out how to simplify your life. Whether the kids are in school or they're home educated, life is busy. There are tons of classes, there's school, there's extracurriculars. It's just about finding ways that you can simplify your life so it feels good for everyone in your house. Whether you school educate or home educate, life is busy. Whether you work or you're a stay-at-home parent, like whether you're working in a paid role or in your stay-at-home parent role, whatever it is, life is busy. And so it is really helpful to figure out ways that you can simplify your family life and what that might look like for you. And as with anything, it's going to be unique to your situation, because all of our situations are different. So thank you so much for listening to today's episode. You can, as always, find me over on Substack, theslowlivingcollective.substack.com, and also come join me over on Instagram. I am there at The Slow Living Collective. So thank you guys again so much for listening to today's episode, and I will catch you all in the next one.